Most of the time, audience and critic scores are vastly different. If the critics say something is boring or a cash grab, fans typically love it, and now with the Super Mario Bros. Movie, critics are panning it, saying it's overly simple, unimaginative, and too close to the games it's based on, and users are absolutely loving it, saying it is everything you could ever want out of a video game film. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So yes, as you can see, the scores have dropped for the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and critics are absolutely roasting it, and users love it. It did release today, so the number of user scores are pretty low, but they're amazing as you can see. Currently, the critic score is sitting at only a 53% and the top critic is at a 46, but the audience verified is a 98% and the all audience does drop to a 91, but that's honestly still great. I, of course, don't trust critic scores. That's why I don't go by them. I watch movies myself and judge them on my own because I don't need these out-of-touch hacks to tell me a film is bad, because most of the time I disagree with their scores, and I think this will be another case where I completely disagree with what the critics are saying. Starting off with an Empire magazine review, a 2 out of 5. That's the best they could rate this film. Beautifully animated and about as faithful and affectionate as a corporate cash-in is possible to get, but it still doesn't come close to the experience of actually playing the games. Now, obviously, I'm not walking into this movie thinking, wow, this is going to replace the video games. I don't think anybody walked in expecting that, except for this critic who is saying it just doesn't come close to playing the games. Then go and play them. It's as simple as that. This isn't supposed to be a replacement. It is supposed to be an additional experience. Cinemalog, who I've never heard of, said a feature-length collection of self-referential sight gags and one-liners held together by a thinly sketched plot aimed squarely at youngsters with short attention spans, and then below it, another review says a movie that's as hollow as a trailer, something that willfully avoids anything creative or ambitious. Mario and Luigi deserve so much better. What do these critics expect from films like this? Seriously, do they want some deep political narrative, some intertwining Inception level film? It's ridiculous, okay? Sometimes people just want a fun, wholehearted adventure, especially when it comes to a movie made for adults and kids. They say that the plot is aimed squarely at youngsters. Yeah, that's who this movie was primarily made for. It's not like this was supposed to be an adult take on Mario and his adventure. They also say things like sailing on the cheap inflatable raft of nostalgia. The movie feels more like a cinematic tutorial on how to play the game than a fully realized film. I have seen a lot of these critic reviews. I really sat and sorted through them, and one of the major criticisms they have is that it is too close to the video games, which is absolutely absurd. It is a movie based on a video game, and I'm glad that they added those video game elements to it. That is what any Super Mario fan would actually want out of a film like this, or a video game fan in general. We want it to feel like a video game, and that is their major complaint here, which of course just makes me laugh. These people are completely out of touch. I understand that they probably didn't want to watch this movie and they were told by their bosses, oh, hey, you have to go and review this film, but they could at least try to go into it with an open mind, and they don't, and that is why people do not like film critics or trust them. It's why we laugh at them. They are completely out of touch with the audiences they are reviewing films for, and going to the audience scores, they're almost perfect. I expected there to be a big difference here. When I saw the 53% critic, I almost knew that the audience scores would be a 90 and up, and of course they are. The all audience is sitting at a 91, the verified at a 98. Honestly, those scores aren't much different. And these are people who have seen it early, but all of them are praising it. Absolutely wonderful experience, tons of Easter eggs, phenomenal voice acting from the whole cast, exhilarating and colorful visuals, amazing soundtrack, and loads of fun. I have talked about this movie a couple times because we've heard like interviews from the creative team kind of talking about how some of the characters will be new and their versions, like Princess Peach. They said that they wanted to make her three-dimensional and it was their version of Peach, which I am still a little bit worried about, but it sounds like the movie comes together as a really good wholehearted experience, which is awesome to hear. I was still, fairly excited for this film. Pure nostalgia, I absolutely loved it. If you're a Mario fan, I would 10 out of 10 recommend seeing this because there are a ton of Easter eggs and you will totally enjoy it. An absolute must-see for any Mario fan, really. While there were a few things it could have done without, like some of the pop song usage felt out of place and a bit jarring since the trailers avoided that entirely, and some underutilized things, though I could see them being explained in a sequel like the Sonic movies did, the movie was overall a great and enjoyable experience and a love letter to the franchise. That right there is what I want to hear. The only user criticisms that I am seeing are people calling out the plot, saying that it's just too rushed. They tried to fit in as much content as possible, and they didn't really give explanations on how things like power-ups worked and how the world worked. So I completely understand that criticism, but everything else in this movie from what we're seeing is really, really solid. Now, I obviously haven't seen this movie yet, but I will be watching it over the weekend and I'll let you guys know my thoughts, but I am relatively excited for it, and seeing reviews like this is just absolutely hilarious. It is just another prime example of critics being completely out of touch with their audiences and not understanding the material that they're actually reviewing. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this and found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.